this year, we have codenamed this event the role of the school leader, connecting curriculum, pedagogy, and learning experience. Alternatively, connecting curriculum, pedagogy, and learning experience, the role of a facilitator, is the theme for this year's conference. You know, I went to a site old school. So the very first time I heard the word pedagogy, coupled with the fact that I come from the Volta region, pedagogy sounded more like a town in my region. Pedagogy. So I had to fall back on my dictionary. Just when I was about doing that, Uncle Frank, the MD of NNF Esquire, asked me to stop. And he actually explained what pedagogy is. To throw more light on this year's theme, I'd like to call on the director or the managing director, the CEO of NNF Esquire, in the person of Mr. Frank Segbao, to throw a bit of light in the form of an introduction or a word to begin the program with. Please put your hands together for him, Uncle Frank. Usually I get a bit far away from him because he's taller than me. He intimidates me with his height. Please put your hands together for him once again.
Thank you, Prosper. I guess the introductions have already been done, so we'll assume that all protocols are duly observed. Indeed, the welfare of the child is at the center of all we do. And it gives me great pleasure to be in this collaboration with the GNAPS Association. And so we want to ask, what is the role of the school owner and leader in connecting curriculum, pedagogy, and the learning experience? Now, this is the overall theme of the conference, but the subject matter itself will differ slightly when we come towards it, because the subject matter that will be handled by the presenters is going to be an aspect of the role of the school owner in connecting curriculum, pedagogy, and the learning experience. Now, this role is critical to ensuring a high-quality educational environment, shaping the overall educational vision, and creating a cohesive framework for the benefit of the Ghanaian child. So how do you, as a leader or an owner, create and support this cohesive framework? Let's just look at 5 areas of interest, starting with curriculum alignment. Schools doing their local curriculum use a rigorous, well-rounded, prescribed NACA curriculum that is aligned with international standards and national goals. I think you agree with that. You may, however, further infuse additional input and variation by blending and enriching the learning experience with additional resources from a global international curriculum, for example, Cambridge. Another area to look at is pedagogical support and professional development for your staff. Effective school leaders will support teachers in implementing instructional strategies that align with the curriculum and meet the diverse needs of the students. You are to provide professional development opportunities to enhance teaching practices, encourage innovative approaches, and facilitate collaboration among educators. By fostering a culture of continuous learning, you can enable teachers to refine their pedagogical skills and promote effective teaching and learning. Inability to align yourselves and your school with resources that provide this level of support and CPD will mean that your facilitators will not have the opportunity to upgrade and stay current and relevant. And for your information, NNF has 10 separate training models based on our standard-based and common core curricula that are specifically designed for the CPD of your staff. The third area is that of creating a positive learning environment for students. Leaders are responsible for creating a positive and inclusive learning environment where students feel safe, supported, and engaged. You must establish school-wide policies, procedures, and practices that promote a positive school climate and encourage active student participation. By fostering a culture of respect, collaboration, and high expectation, you will contribute to an environment conducive to effective teaching and learning. And our learners' books come with free downloadable interactive digital copies, which give your pupils the flexibility and enhance their ICT skills. Your teachers need resources that have very supportive teachers' guides to provide facilitators with the direction and guidance for positive and inclusive learning environment. The free Essential Teachers Guides are an excellent resource purposely created to do this for you. Please support your facilitators to make use of teachers' guides. Many teachers don't want to use teachers' guides because they want to keep doing things the old way. But if they learn to use the teachers' guides, it will make a whole lot of difference and transform your classroom experience. The fourth area is that of the monitoring and evaluation of the effectiveness of your pedagogy. You are to monitor students' progress and assess the impact of instructional strategies on learning outcomes. By analyzing data, conducting classroom observations, and engaging in regular feedback loops with teachers, you can identify areas of improvement and provide targeted support where needed. This ongoing monitoring and evaluation process enables you to make informed decisions regarding curriculum adjustments and instructional interventions. Finally, school leaders collaborate with various stakeholders, including teachers, students, parents, and the broader community, to create meaningful connections between curricula, pedagogy, and the learning experience. Critical decisions such as which resources to be used cannot be left to the subject teachers alone. These decisions must consider and factor the long-term goals and aspirations of the school community. And this can only be properly communicated and realized by you, the school leader. In summary, your role as a school leader is connecting the curriculum, pedagogy, and the learning experience, and it is multifaceted. You provide strategic direction. You provide support and guidance to teachers. You facilitate a positive learning environment. You monitor progress. And you engage stakeholders to create a cohesive educational framework that promotes effective teaching and learning. The NNF team stands ready to help you achieve these aims with our Essential Series package of the best textbooks, digital editions, workbooks, and most especially, our superb free downloadable teachers' guides, as well as our training and development models with the school-based workshops. We are ably supported by Cambridge University's Press to meet your needs and aspirations. Ladies and gentlemen, today's expose deals with one aspect of the conference theme and comprises two short presentations. The first session exposes us to the resources that prosecute the curriculum learning areas by providing solutions to critical issues. This first session then prepares us for the second session, which focuses directly on classroom management in a learner-centered environment, focusing on seating arrangements, causes of and mitigation of misbehavior in the classroom. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to NEC 2023. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You can do it better for Uncle Frank. Let me quickly acknowledge the presence of GNAPS Regional Chairperson in the person of Dr. Aisha Akrofi, who joined me on stage a while ago. She's also here to deliver a speech on this wonderful day. Ladies and gentlemen, let us put our hands together. And even with some standing ovation, it won't be bad, though. That's our regional chairperson. Please, with a standing ovation, let's welcome Dr. Aisha Akrofi onto my podium. Thank you. Welcome, madam.
Please take your seat. I'm humbled. Thank you so much. NAPS, the welfare of the child is supreme. NAPS, the welfare of the child is supreme. NAPS, the welfare of the child is supreme. the Director of NNF Esquire Limited, our highly supportive partners, regional executives present, zonal executives, GNAPS members, the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning once again. A very warm and heartfelt welcome to each and every one of you, esteemed leaders of private schools and members of GNAPS Greater Accra. It is an absolute pleasure to have you all gathered here today for this highly anticipated conference on emerging learning, teaching, and management strategies that are essential for 21st century education. Your presence here truly honors us. In this ever-evolving world, the field of education is undergoing rapid transformation, and it is crucial that we adapt our approaches to meet the ever-changing needs of our students. As we step into the 21st century, we have a responsibility to equip ourselves with the knowledge and tools necessary to navigate these new horizons. This conference aims to provide you with valuable insights and practical strategies that will empower you to embrace the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. Education plays an integral role in shaping the future of our nation. And as leaders in private schools, you bear a tremendous responsibility in guiding our young minds towards success. This conference serves as a platform for us to come together, share ideas, collaborate, and inspire one another. We seek to create an environment where we can collectively explore innovative approaches, leverage technology, and incorporate new methodologies into our educational practices. Throughout this conference, our resource persons will delve into a wide range of topics, from personalized learning or learner-centered and digital literacy to project-based learning, inclusive education, student-centered pedagogies, data-driven decision-making, and effective school management strategies. Our resource persons will provide valuable insights, practical examples, and case studies that can be directly applied in your respective schools. Moreover, this conference offers a unique opportunity to network and build professional connections. Engaging in meaningful discussions, sharing your ideas, and learning from the experiences of your peers will undoubtedly enrich your educational journey. Together, we can create a collaborative community that fosters continuous growth and development in education. As we embark on this collective journey, let us embrace the spirit of exploration and innovation. Let us open our minds to new ideas and possibilities and commit ourselves to transforming education in Ghana to meet the demands of the 21st century. Once again, on behalf of the regional team, I extend my warmest welcome to all the private school leaders present here. May this conference be an inspiring and enlightening experience for each one of you. May the knowledge, insights gained here ignite a spark of positive change and pave the way for a brighter future for our students and our nation. Before I conclude, I would like to acknowledge NNF Esquire, our sponsors and partners for life. A round of applause, please. For organizing this wonderful conference It is the second of its kind. We are proudly grateful for your partnership and your belief in the importance of equipping our private school leaders with the knowledge and tools needed to thrive in the 21st century educational landscape. Thank you, NNF Esquire, for your unwavering support, trust, and dedication. Your contribution will have a lasting impact on the lives of countless students and educators, and we are honored to have you as our partners. GNAPS, the welfare of the child is supreme. GNAPS. GNAPS. Ladies and gentlemen of Greater Accra, thank you for being here with us today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam. You can do it better for her. Next on my list is a speech by our own General Manager of NNF Esquire. One man I have a lot of respect for. He's going to talk to us on the features and benefits of the resources that we use in teaching our children, or the resources available, and what we seek to add to it. Elvis is readily available. Once you see Elvis, you see him. He's like 1 divided by 2, ladies and gentlemen. You might want to put your hands together for him. At least I got somebody smiling, and I'm happy about that.
Thank you very much, Prosper. Good morning once again. All protocols observed. I am here to do a simple task to expose all of us to the key features and benefits of our resources. So school leaders gathered here, school owners, and our online participants. The theme for today's conference is connecting curriculum, pedagogy, learning experience, the role of the facilitator. So why am I exposing us to our resources? Curriculum, as the standard base requires, it says, why is it a standard-based curriculum? It is standard-based because it tells us what to teach, how to teach, and how to assess. So what are we to teach? It's looking at the subject areas, how to teach, that is how to go through the lessons, and then how to do the assessments. And then pedagogy talks about the skills teachers need to go through the lessons in the classroom. So I'm going to expose us to what we have for the learners, what we have for our teachers. And then when I finish, my marketing manager will take us through another aspect of the team that is going to look at the classroom management. So please kindly sit down and follow me through this presentation. Online participants, if you're in your classrooms, wherever you are, please, those who are using our resources, I will indulge you. Pick one of the teacher's guides if you have it, one of the learner's book and the workbook, and when we get there, I will ask you to do some references based on what I'm going to take us through today. So NNF Esquire Limited, together with Cambridge University Press, are producers of cutting-edge resources. We also provide support to GNAPS, as we are doing today. We have capacity building training for our facilitators. This capacity training that we offer the facilitators put them on their toes for lessons to be run in the classroom, and also prepares the learners to gain knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values, as well as ethics that they need to be successful learners and affect our society. NNF Esquire Limited offer learner-friendly learners books. We also have competency-based workbooks and free facilitators guides. Please take note of this. Free facilitators guides. You can visit nnfesquire.com, visit our download section, and you have the teacher's guide there, free of charge for download. Please, you can download as many as you can. Download and share with your colleague teachers, share with your colleague school owners, because it is very important. I'll tell you the reasons why our facilitators guides are important very soon. So please visit nnfesquire.com. You have access to our free downloadable teachers guides. You can also confirm our approval on the NACA website, confirm whether our resources are truly approved. Visit the NACA website for that confirmation. We are the only publishing firm that provides free ebooks to our clients. When you buy our learners' books, open inside the front cover, we have a special code and a special procedure that guides learners to download the ebook version of the learners' books. So please take note of this. Those who are using our resources, those who are not using today, I'm here to expose you to why you have to use the Essential series. I want to briefly introduce the resources we have right from the preschool level to the JHS level to our school owners, so that we can take informed decisions when this conference is over. We have what we call the Montessori series. These are the best-selling preschool books in the country currently. Our resources are not used only in Ghana. Schools in Benin, in Liberia, and other African countries are using our Montessori series. We have Essential Montessori numeracy skills for nursery 1 all the way to KG2. We also have literacy skills from nursery 1 to KG2 available for your use. We also have writing skills that helps learners develop the needed writing that they need to acquire. We also have natural science skills from nursery 1 all the way to KG2. We have environmental studies, the same range. We have phonics for nursery 1 to KG2. We released phonics nursery 1 and nursery 2 in January. In September, we will have KG1 and KG2 available. And the last in the list is a new one that we are releasing this year. That is Montessori English Reading and Comprehension. This is only for KG1 and KG2. So for the past 5 or 10 years, people have been engaging me and asking whether we have comprehension books for preschool. Now we have released something for you, and I know your problems have been solved. Let me take you through our resources in the primary section, or the KG NACA section first, before I move on to the primary section. We have 4 key areas as required by the NACA standard-based curriculum, and the KG books are based on theme. They are theme-based. So you see similar topics running through. For example, My Family, My Home, you can see it in language and literacy, see it in creative art, and see it in Our World, Our People. So we have language and literacy for KG1 and 2. That is purely workbook for the learners to use. We also have the teacher's guides available, downloadable online, and we have hard copies that you can purchase. We have Essential Mathematics for KG1 and KG2 as well, comes with it teacher's guides. We have Our World and Our People for KG1 and KG2, also with it teacher's guides. And then we have, last but not the least, Creative Arts for Kindergarten 1 and Kindergarten 2. Now to our standard-based curriculum, we have 7 subject areas. The first 3, English, Maths, and Science. The next, we have History and Our World, Our People. These 5 subject areas, Science, Maths, English, History, Our World, Our People, have corresponding workbooks. Apart from the teacher's guides that you can download online, we have corresponding workbooks. I'll give a little insight on the workbooks shortly. And then we have Computing and French for upper primary. Computing starts from primary 4. In actual fact, computing for lower primary is part of Our World, Our People. So the 5th strand, strand 5, deals with computing for the lower primary 1, 2, and 3. So if you have Our World, Our People resources, if you open to strand 5, you have all the information that the learners need for computing in the lower primary section. Let me also expose you to our Common Core program resources. We have 8 of them. We have English language, we have mathematics, we have science, we have social studies, we have career technology, we have computing, we have religious and moral education, and French. So we have covered all the areas that you need. The only resources we don't have for JHS is basically the languages. That is the local languages. So we have this from basic 7 to 9. We released 4 of these in January. This year we are adding the other 4, so we have the full complement of our common core resources for use by your learners. So take note that when you order these resources and we bring them to you, make sure your facilitators have downloaded the teacher's guides that they can use in teaching these lessons. We also have our teacher's guides available on pen drives for free. So when we come to your schools, you can inquire from us. We can give you a copy and you can share with your teachers as well. Online participants, you also should take note of this. When you make your request and we bring you your books, please ask that we provide you with a free pen drive that contains the essential teacher's guides, or you get to download them online. So these are the resources we have. Now, I mentioned earlier on that 5 of our primary resources comes with workbooks. That is English, Maths, Science, History, and Our World, Our People. What do we get in our workbooks? We have additional assessment tasks for consolidating concepts learned in the learners' books. So we have provided a lot of content in our learners' books. We have not ended there. Apart from the content we have that gives you information, that provides activities, that provides assessment, we have also provided special workbooks. So the workbooks, right from page 1 to the end of the page, it's full of activities, it's full of practices, it's full of assessments. So all that the learners are expected to do is that when they finish a particular lesson in the learner's book, the facilitator leads them or directs them into the workbook to do some further activities to consolidate what they have learned in the learner's book. So it is full of practice. We have what we call differentiated exercises. We have different group of persons in our classrooms. We have people who are very good visually. We have people who can talk. We have people who can converse. We have people who are also good at puzzles writing. So we have provided different forms of assessment in the workbooks where you can use to assess the different classes of people you have in your classroom. So our assessments are not just a wholesome assessment. We have variations so that everybody's need will be met in the classroom. We also have homeworks on real-life situations. So is it maths that you are going through? Are you talking about numbers? Are you talking about groupings? So there are activities or homework activities that requires learners to give answers right from their home. So check your fridge or check your sitting room. How many chairs do you have there? How many seats do you have there? So when learners bring answers to you, you expect that the answers should vary. These are not straightforward answers. Whatever they learn in the classroom or whatever they see in their surroundings, they are supposed to apply them. So we make sure that we have homeworks on real-life situations. When you were coming to school this morning, what did you see on your way? When you are talking about living things and non-living things. When we are talking about sources of water, we say in your area, mention any one source of water. So you expect that learners will bring you different answers. The answer should not be just straightforward. So all these practice and activities that we have in our learner's book and our workbook, make sure that the learning behaviors as required by the standard-based curriculum are developed in our learners. So the knowledge they need to acquire, our resources are providing them that knowledge. The understanding they need to get, they are getting that understanding. And then they are able to apply this understanding, doing some works in the workbook. And then as they engage themselves in society, they are able to analyze situations within their environment in the classroom. They synthesize them and then they evaluate. And at the end of the day, they become creative and critical thinkers. What more do you need? Our resources make sure that the learners are equipped to be critical thinkers, to affect the society as a whole, and to change society. So, in the short presentation that I've done so far, you can agree with me that Our resources are full of practice, practice, practice. When you greet GNAPS, your response is what? So the welfare of the child is supreme for you. So I want to ask two of us, what do you expect your learners to achieve at the end of the time they run through your institution? I want two responses. What do you expect your learners to acquire or to achieve at the end of the time they spend in your classroom? There's a gentleman here. Please, do we have the mic?
To exhibit the core competencies.
It says for them to exhibit the core competencies. Thank you very much. Any other?
My expectation is that my child or my learner should be able to fit into any environment in which he or she finds himself or herself.
Thank you very much. This is for you, for your contribution. Please give this to my friend. Thank you very much. So he says for them to develop the necessary core competencies. And the other lady said that for them to fit into the society very well. So therefore, your learners need the right resources for them to achieve this. So we have made sure that we have provided this for them. I'm going to take you through some features of our resources for us to all find out whether at the end of the day, if learners use our resources, whether they will be able to develop the core competencies and whether they will be able to fit into society. So, we said that we have a lot of exercises, what we call practice. If I say essential, please say practice, practice, practice. Essential. Essential. Our online participants, I want you to type practice, 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 and send to us so that we know that you are with us. All right. Shall we continue? Now our learners' books. What do our learners' books offer us? Our learners' book contains variety of learning activities. I think I've talked about this. We have a lot of work examples. So we have what we call scaffolding. Scaffolding we see scaffold when we are doing construction. It helps the workers to move to higher heights. So we have scaffolds, which are in forms of examples in our learners' books and our workbooks. So learners are exposed to different forms of examples for them to be able to achieve the learning objective. We also have assessment exercises. In the new curriculum, assessment takes place right from the beginning of the lesson and to the end of the lesson. When we were in school, we only go through assessments at the end of the lesson or sometimes even at the end of the term. But now learning has changed. So NNF Esquire Limited has made sure that the different forms of assessment that is needed right from the beginning, assessment of learning, diagnosis assessment, and all summative assessment are provided in our learners' book. So at the beginning of the lesson, there are questions to activate prior knowledge of the learners before even the lesson begins. For example, in our maths books, we have what we call the find out. So the find out engages the learners, and then you are able to understand the ideas they share before you even begin the lesson. We have realistic illustrations in our books. When you open our English learners' books, we open our history books, you are seeing real pictures. You are seeing colorful pictures that relate to the subjects that they are learning. So the learners at their tender age are able to relate the pictures to the content in the resources. We have knowledge reinforcement. We also offer problem-solving skills. We have activities, we have tips, we have ideas, we have fun facts that exposes the learners to different ideas so that they can be problem solvers. We want to raise people who will solve Ghana's problems. We want to raise people who will solve our society problems. How do they gain these ideas? These are core competencies that my brother talked about that they want their learners to what? To acquire. And our resources have them available for your use. We have support for learning new concepts. So, for example, in the maths curriculum, there are different new techniques of teaching. So multiplication, addition, and all these things have changed. You have the 100 numeral chart. So we have taught you how to use the 100 numeral chart to simply do additions, jumping forward or moving backwards. How to do additions in tens, how to do additions moving to the right, moving to the back, moving to the top and down. So all these forms of strategies are captured in our learners' books. We have them for you. We have challenging projects that offer opportunities to develop the K-SAVE. K-SAVE is knowledge, skills, attitude, values, and ethics. So our resources provide the learners the ability to gain the necessary knowledge, the competency skills they need to develop, the attitudes and values they need to exhibit in the society, and then they become critical thinkers as well, and they develop the necessary core competencies. Our activities make sure there are engagements, communication is taken care of, tolerance is taken care of, making sure that teamwork is taken care of. So we have all this in our learner's book. Online participants, I hope you are with us. Continue following this. We also have revision and assessment exercises to facilitate evaluation of the learner's progress. So at the end of a sub-strand, there is a revision exercise. At the end of the strand, there is a revision exercise. Right in the teacher's handbook or the facilitator's guides, there are a lot of different forms of evaluation exercises to engage with the learners. We also have activities and exercises and practices that make sure that everybody in the classroom is taken care of. So, for example, in an activity in the English book, we say, read through this and share your idea with a friend. After that, have a group discussion, and then the teacher will take you through a whole class activity. So we make sure that we take care of an individual, we take care of pair works, we take care of group works, we take care of a whole class activity. So when my colleague comes, Paul comes, he's going to talk about how this individual, pair, and group works helps in classroom management. So I want you to just keep expecting something great from Paul when he comes. So we make sure that individuals are taken care of. We make sure that we are not doing just individual learning, where you come into the classroom, you come and do your own thing, face your teacher and go away. No. Teaching and learning has changed, and we are making sure that we are providing all that. We are in a modern world, and therefore our resources provide the needed ICT resources that we need. We have provided ICT boxes in our learners' books. We have provided links in the books. So when you have the e-book version of our learner's book, when you click the link, it takes you to either a video or a page where you see what we have there. We have special QR codes in our learners' books. These are only unique in our English learners' book from primary 1 to primary 6. What it does is that when you scan the QR code, it moves you direct to either a YouTube video on the subject or on the lesson you are going through, or it takes you to a page where you read. So just last week when I was doing some assessments on these QR codes in our upper primary English book, I opened to a page when we were talking about some of the grammar activities. And I tell you, the kind of information we have loaded in the QR code for your learners will make learning very, very effective. School leaders, teachers following us online, and other school leaders online. With what I have exposed you to, if you are here and you have not chosen Essential Series, I'm sure you are lagging behind. And I entreat you that at the end of this conference, just move to the stand there, look at the resources physically, assess them physically, compare them to what you have heard here, and then take your decisions. Because we have what makes learners become successful. We have what makes learners become unique. They develop the necessary core competencies, and they will affect our society. My director talked about our facilitators guide, and he told you that make sure your facilitators are using them. Facilitators online, make sure you are using the NNF free downloadable teachers guides. Let me take you through some key features that our teachers' guides provide for us. If you are a teacher here or if you are a school leader here, we have made sure that we are provided with clear teaching guidelines. Clear guidelines to facilitate lessons. So I'm using teacher and facilitator concurrently. They mean the same thing. So who is a facilitator? Who is a teacher? A teacher guides, a teacher directs, a teacher inspires. So we are provided guidelines for the teacher to guide the learners. Learning in the current 21st century has changed. The focus is now not on the teacher, but now on the learners. So we are provided the guidelines for teachers to use to make sure that they are taking their learners through the right things. We are giving clear directives on activities and lessons. So where you are supposed to put the pupil or the learners in groups, where you are supposed to let them do group works, where they are supposed to do pair work, where they are supposed to do individual activities, we are giving you the clear guidelines. So when you check our history and our English learners' books, we have some key symbols we use to identify individual pair work and group work. For individual work, you see one head. For pair, you see two heads. For group activities, you see three. And then for classroom activities, you see a teacher standing in front of 4 learners. So that is how you differentiate between individual, pair, group, and classroom activities. We have additional recommended activities for better transfer of knowledge. We have a lot of activities, we have a lot of practices in our learners' books. We have a lot in our workbook. We didn't end there. Our authors and our editors make sure that they added more activities for the teachers, for the facilitator to have a lot of activities to give the teachers, the learners, so that learning will be successful. We have extra teaching suggestions and many teaching resources. When you open our teacher's guides, there are columns that are in colored. The history has a blue background, the science has an orange background, the maths has a light green background. So in this background columns of our teacher's guides, the online participants, if you can open to any of the teacher's guides, you see that we have listed some resources for use per lesson. So take note of these, school leaders. Let your teachers know that they are supposed to prepare ahead of the lesson with the teacher's guides so that they know the necessary resources we have recommended for every lesson before they even get into the classroom. Because for some of the lessons, we have provided them with videos, we have provided them with informations. So they are supposed to read, they are supposed to watch, and get more understanding of the lesson before they even come to the classroom. They are not supposed to come to the classroom before they start looking at the teacher's guides. We have also given helpful links to acquire additional information, knowledge online to guide learners. These helpful links are available for your teachers' use. We have made sure that all the core competencies have been integrated in our lessons. So, is the activity building communication? Is the activity building teamwork? We have listed them. So at the end of the lesson, whatever competencies they are supposed to build, we have given that one to you. We have made sure that we have carried all the indicators as required by the curriculum. Different forms of assessment, I've talked about this one. So if you have a learner that is a little slow, we have activities that will help the learner understand the lesson. If you have those that are smart, those that are very excellent, and they are always ahead of their other peers, we have activities that you can give to them to always keep them engaged so that you can spend time for all the other learners. We also have step-by-step guidelines for facilitating learning. We provide you with extensive activities to also make sure that all learners are taken care of in the classroom. We have provided responses to all activities, all assessments, all exercises in the learners' books and the workbooks as well. Relevant class exercises, homework activities I mentioned earlier on to consolidate and extend the skills needed. We have what we call the free online CDs. It's linked to the computing books. So we have PowerPoint presentations that the facilitator can use to facilitate lessons. We have worksheets that the facilitator can print out and use as forms of assessment for the teachers. we are privileged to inform you that we offer free capacity building for your teachers and your school leaders as well. So we are accredited by NTC to offer this training. We have schools to choose the preferred models from the 10 models that we have for the training. We have specific curriculum issues that we address when we meet your facilitators. We are practicality of relevant aspect of curriculum is treated in our resources and demonstrated for maximum benefits. So the practicality of life, the practicality of what is expected in a curriculum is taken care of. Participants are awarded certificates that is on request when they need it. So these are 10 models we have for the schools. We have aspects of the standard-based curriculum that we take you through. We have learner-centered pedagogy and assessment. We also have the Common Core program. So if you want training on the Common Core program, we are ready to offer you that training. Online participants, please take note of this. We also have differentiation and scaffolding. We have developing the 6 core competencies in learners, what the facilitators are supposed to do to develop the 6 core competencies in their learners. We also have digital literacy. I mentioned our ebook, the free ebooks that comes with our learners' books. We have a training on that. And we also have the integration of ICT tools in learning and teaching. If you have ICT facilitation facilities in your schools, we have tools and we have a lot of wonderful tools and resources that you can use to integrate in your teaching. Effective management of a learner-centered classroom is one of our models. And then what we are going through today that my colleague will also take us through is connecting curriculum, pedagogy, and learning experiences. So these are the 10 key models we have. So in summary, our resources guarantee success through learner-centered pedagogy. The new curriculum is saying that learning is now learner-centered. It is not focused on the facilitator. So we have that covered. Differentiation and scaffolding strategies are taken care of in our resources. Variety of learning and teaching methods are taken care of. We have individual, group, and collaborative learning approaches that are taken care of in our resources. And then appropriate learning centers and the integration of ICT tools. Make sure that we have a successful classroom and end of engagements. So in brief, what benefits do we derive when we use Essential Series? If you are here and you are not using Essential Series, please take a look at another opportunity available to you today so that you start using Essential Series. Benefits of our resources. Benefits to the learner. The learners develop the needed competencies. The needed learning experiences are exposed to them. They have knowledge, they have skills, they have attitudes, the right attitudes and the right values. They are developing them. And then what benefits do our parents derive from the uses of the NNF Essential Series? They observe their children. They observe that their children are exhibiting the learning experiences that they have acquired using the Essential Series. And then they have value for their money. If they pay a lot for you to admit their children, their awards, at the end of the day, when your school is using Essential Series, the parents see the benefits they get from that. What benefits do we derive as schools? One, you offer quality education because you are using quality resources. And also you have healthy stakeholder engagements. So the use of our resources exposes the learners to a lot of good things. So parents are rushing to bring their children to you because they know that you are using Essential Series. Because a school owner drove all the way to our office and told me that my teachers and some parents are saying that it is essential they want to use. So I have to drive all the way from my place to come to you to come and get Essential Series. You also have return on investment to school owners. And then to the society and to the nation, we have prosperous and enlightened society. We have responsible citizenship, and then we have national development. Because these learners, when they get the needed core competencies, they become useful to the society, they become problem solvers, and then they become very successful. And then the nation as a whole develops. So I want to entreat you, if you are not using Essential series, school owners online, facilitators online, please get your facilitator school owners to download the teacher's guides. Teachers, please download the teacher's guides. Start using them now. Make a decision on our resources. Get to us after this conference and take a decision. Thank you very much for taking care of us. I'm grateful.
Ladies and gentlemen, you want to put your hands together for Elvis right now? A wonderful guy, wonderful guy. He's so unassuming. Sometimes you see him and you're likely to not know what he's made of. He's a tough guy. Please put your hands together for him once again. Next on my list is another gentleman that I have a lot of respect for. My brother, Paul Koya. Paul is going to take us through exactly what the theme for this year's NEC 2023 is, which Mr. Frank Segbao spoke about, but his was an overview. Theme for this year, again, is connecting curriculum, pedagogy, and learning experiences, the role of a facilitator. Now, one key person in all of this web is the facilitator. Now, if you don't know what it takes to do proper facilitation, trust me, you'll be teaching wrong things to our kids. And for those of us who began from Saito, we'll be lost totally. Ladies and gentlemen, let us put our hands together for my brother Paul Koya. Paul Koya, please join me here. As for this one, I am taller than him. I can stand beside him. He's shorter, he's shorter. I am taller than him, so I can stand beside him. He's going to take us through management of classroom in learning-centered environments. And his is going to be an elaborative form of the theme for NEC 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together once again for him. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. MC. GNAPS. GNAPS, the welfare of the child is supreme. Finally, GNAPS, the welfare of the child is supreme. I am speaking after three big people. A bigger man, a bigger woman, and then my GM. All of them are taller than me. And he has exposed me, saying he is also taller than me. I admit I am shorter than all of you. If you are taller than me, I also am proud that I am shorter than all of you. You have brought bigger shoes here, and with my small feet, I am supposed to come and stand here and speak on the things that you have exposed us to. Let us look at a scenario of school owners here having your schools. Let's take two schools presenting 30 children each for an external examination. School A had 3 students excelling, and School B had 28 students on average. The rest of the 27 students in School A were not able to progress. But School B, even though the performance was not the highest, 27 of them were able to continue the education. Which of these two schools would you want to own? Would you want to be the owner of School A, who has 3 excellent students who were presented for awards, and then the 3 progressed, the rest of the 27 dropped out? Or you want to be the owner of School B, where 27 students averagely passed and progressed to the next level of education? Where are you? Owner of School A or owner of School B? I didn't hear that. School B. Very well. I wish I can start a school so that I can combine School A and B. My role is very simple. I am going to be looking at what we would come to your various schools upon your invitation to discuss and take your facilitators through as a continuing professional development module, so our facilitators would be able to transform your school. And so when you present learners for examinations, you would have the kind of School B results, so that every learner, majority of them, would be making progress instead of having a few excellent ones and the rest as though they haven't been to school. So when you want to count those who went through your school and are excelling in society, the only 3 that excelled are those that will come back and be proud and say, I attended this school. But if you are going to be practicing what we will discuss now, you would have 27 progressing and coming back to say, this is where I progressed from to where I've gotten to. We'll be looking at the classroom management in a group and collaborative learning environment. How shall our facilitators manage classrooms in a group and collaborative environment? Group and collaborative environment is the same as cooperative environment, when learners are going to be learning in small groups in their classrooms. What is the role of the facilitator in making sure that learners learning in groups are obtaining learning experiences that will make majority of them progress? Putting them in groups would enable them to learn from and with one another. So the excellent ones will share whatever they have with the rest. So just those 3 will not excel and progress, and then the rest will drop out. The 3 would have others sitting around each one of them, so they can pull them along, and majority of them will progress and become mates in tertiary institutions and become people prosperous in society. We would visit your schools, member schools, GNAPS member schools, and offer this training. We are going to be looking at the presentation now to see how group and collaborative learning approaches support the development of the 21st century and digital skills. We will progress to see the differences between facilitator-centered and learner-centered classrooms in terms of sitting arrangements and learning tasks. Then we look at the causes of misbehavior and disruption during learning collaboratively. And then finally, we will look at how learners misbehave, what causes the misbehavior, and how the misbehavior affects the people who are misbehaving and other learners in the classroom. And what do we do to avert misbehavior and the disruption of learning, or mitigate it when it does happen? And then what would the benefit be if we are able to effectively manage our classrooms towards achieving the learning goals? These are the objectives we would cover. And that is the huge shoes the bigger people who spoke before me left for me to put my small feet in. I will push in some support before wearing so that the shoes will not get off my feet when I lift them. I am happy to say they have left the supports for me. My managing director spoke extensively how the curriculum, pedagogy, and learning experiences are connected and what is required of us as school owners and leaders. Then my workaholic GM, who can work 72 hours non-stop, came to tell us the cutting-edge resources produced by NNF Esquire and Cambridge University Press, which resources make everything available for us to achieve excellent classroom performances. If we are unable to make a decision after this session, I will visit you in your dreams and entreat you to make a rethink so you can make that decision. Before I leave your dream, you will wake up asking for NNF Esquire order forms. You want to fill and complete them so you can also join this excellent performance schools. A lot of work. What is the link between collaborative learning and the 21st century skills? We will do that in 15 minutes. We will look at the learner-centered versus facilitator-centered classroom environments in terms of seating arrangements and learning tasks. In another 15 minutes, then misbehavior and learning disruptions during classroom collaborative learning, extra 15 minutes. Then the impact of misbehavior on learning and learners for 10 minutes. How do we mitigate the impact of misbehavior on learning and learners? Another 15 minutes. Then the benefits of classroom management towards achieving learning goals, also in 10 minutes. When I am done with that, together we will see how much we will remember. So when we go back to schools, we will tell our facilitators that fixed time, invite NNF to come and take you, the facilitators, who will be implementing this thing in your various classrooms, through the details. You are just going to have highlights. The facilitators will be taking through details in your various schools, be it in clusters depending on the zones you are coming from, or school-based, so that they will engage the learners in groups to learn collaboratively. So you will not have 3 people excelling at the end of the exams. A lot more will excel. If you are able to remember the benefits, then you can tell your facilitators, and we are sure you will invite us to come and do it because you would want to look for the NNF order forms, fill them, post them to us, have the books delivered to you, get the facilitators to use them, and have excellent results and produce better children to build Mother Ghana. First, we'll start by looking at the need for appropriate classroom arrangement in learning. Why should we arrange the classroom in a particular manner before we learn? When they come, they should find a place to sit anyhow and come and deliver your lesson and go. If that is not it, and we say we need to arrange classrooms appropriately before we learn. Why is that? It is because the appropriate classroom arrangements offer effective learning management. You are delivering a lesson with time. You have provided timetables for your facilitators. From 8 to 9, one lesson is supposed to be taught. If the classroom is arranged in a haphazard manner, movement from one learner to another becomes a difficulty. The facilitator will spend much more time visiting the learners during the assessment for learning. He or she may not be able to deliver the lesson in good time. A lot of work will be left undone. So you need to arrange classrooms appropriately so the facilitator can manage the learning effectively. Another reason is that some arrangements support particular learning activities better than others. You cannot arrange the classroom when you are teaching a science lesson in a particular manner and maintain that same arrangement when you are going to teach an English lesson. Whereas during the science lesson, you performed experiments. So you pulled tables together to have a lab bench kind of, you want to improvise a lab bench to do an experiment. So you brought tables together. When that is done, and you are teaching a new lesson, you definitely will have to rearrange the classroom. Some arrangements support some lessons better than the other. Then the facilitator can manage behavior and learning more effectively. In a clustered arrangement, you are unable to move through. The facilitator cannot move through. Those of us who are participating online, virtual participants, if you are in school, look round, turn and look into the classrooms. See how the furniture is arranged. Take note of that, and when we proceed, you will be looking at the furniture again and see whether every lesson can be delivered in that classroom the way the furniture is arranged, or you may want to make a change depending on what you are going to learn. Group and collaborative learning versus 21st century and digital skills. What is it? What is group and collaborative learning? It is a teaching strategy, an approach of teaching where learners are brought into smaller groups, clusters, or pairs to perform a learning task or project towards the achievement of a common goal. Every member of the group is expected to be part of the learning or the project task and take active role in it. Nobody would be idling when that is happening. Collaborative learning, also referred to as cooperative learning, fosters development of the 21st century skills. Last year at Micklin, we looked at these 21st century skills. And then we said the first three have 4 C's: critical thinking, communication, creativity, and collaboration. When learners are put together to learn with and from one another, these skills are adequately developed. Because somebody is playing a particular role, determining who speaks when, another person is using a digital tool, surfing for information towards solving a problem. They are communicating and collaborating. They must listen to one another as they contribute knowledge towards solving the problem. Tolerance is supposed to be there. When someone is speaking, you must listen. Try to understand, analyze, and respond. If you differ, then you bring your dissenting view on board. You do not have to attack the person whose statement you differ with. So as they are learning to communicate and collaborate, working towards attainment of the same goal, they are also developing skills that are required for them to become tolerant. One day they will grow and go to that august house and become honorable people, and they will have to tolerate each other's dissenting view and progress towards making Ghana a better place for us. These skills are required when learners are put together to learn with one another. Learners can also use digital tools to develop digital communication skills when they are learning together. Digital tools are supposed to be used in integrating lessons. My general manager mentioned that our resources have provision for the use of digital skills to develop digital literacy skills in the learners. The facilitators in your various schools should use digital skills responsibly in facilitating the learning process. The key word is responsibly. This is a digital tool. It can be used in facilitating learning in the classroom when there are no projectors and the facilitator wants to show a video to the learners. He or she may arrange for 3 or 4 of these tools from other facilitators, put the learners in groups, allow them to go to the link together, and watch the video in groups. That facilitator must have put this process of facilitating the lesson in the lesson notes. So you are aware that at this time, he's going to introduce this digital tool in facilitating the learning process, improvising a video for the learners to learn. If that is not done, if it is not found in the lesson notes, and then from nowhere, he smuggles the phone into the lesson, it's an irresponsible way of doing things. Probably he didn't even prepare for the lesson, and that is why it is not in the lesson notes. After doing 3 minutes with the learners, and he shifts responsibility of learning to them, he is likely going to sit at his desk and be doing Facebook and WhatsApp and the rest. Irresponsible learning would not take place in your schools, because the welfare of the child is supreme to you. The contact hours are important. Ensure that your facilitators are using the contact hours for the learners so they can make progress as they move on. Let us look at reinforcing the 21st century skills through cooperative learning. The cooperative learning we are talking about is the same as collaborative learning or group learning. These are the 2 approaches prescribed in the standard-based and the common core curricula. There are 2 strategies in there for us: scaffolding and differentiation. There are 8 methods there for us. There are 2 approaches there for us, and there are 2 resources for us. The approaches are the group learning and collaborative learning, and then the resources are integration of ICT tools and the use of learning centers. We are focusing on the approaches. Once we have the best resources integrated with ICT, we are going to be taking through the approaches, the strategies of learning. Let us see what approach to use. Cooperative learning is an instructional technique that enables learners to work in small groups, class, homework, or peer groups. Smaller groups of 3, 4, depending on the number of children you have in the classroom, so you can have even numbers of groups. You can do that on your own. Facilitators should do that. The furniture we have in the classroom will determine how we group them. If our desks are dual desks, we have to use our creativity to be able to put the learners into smaller groups. In class, we can do this cooperative learning. When the learners are out of class, they can still do cooperative learning at home. Otherwise, when we give them group work to do, in submitting reports on the group work, peer review can take place. So when one group is submitting their reports, the rest of the groups are listening. They are questioning them, seeking further clarification. That is peer review. In that case, whatever approach a particular group used in arriving at a particular solution, unknown to another group, that group can ask. So learners are sharing ideas, learning from and with one another in that group and collaborative manner. Learners who have cooperative learning experiences earn better grades and show a lot more enthusiasm in life. Because in your various schools, if you go to visit a particular classroom, there are people in classes who will never ask questions. They are intimidated by the presence of other people in the classroom. There are some who are not intimidated but are not interested in asking questions. But if you ask them a question, they will provide the proper response to you, but they will not talk. All these people are in the classroom. It is the duty of your facilitator to be able to harness all these people, encourage them to speak, so others will hear from them. In a larger class, when the person is unwilling to speak, put them in smaller groups, and he is the leader of the group. Definitely, whatever is on their mind, he is going to share with the rest. There is no competition. If you allow them to be learning individually, there is going to be competition among them. I want to be the first, so I will not share what I have on my mind with my friends. Otherwise, they may come to pass. So you alone will pass the exams and go to the university, and all your mates are behind. What kind of school shall we want to build if we encourage individual learning strategies in our various schools? How many people can we produce to progress? This is why we should not encourage individual learning in our schools, but rather adopt the collaborative learning. So those who are very fast learners can share what is on their mind. They will become the scaffolds in the classroom for the rest to climb. So when you put them into groups, the sharp learners become the scaffold for the rest to follow, to climb to higher heights. At the end of the day, you will find all of them at the top. In a group activity, personal development and leadership skills are acquired. Somebody is taking the notes. Somebody is moderating activities. Yes, let's hear you. You speak. Then another person is surfing for information. These 21st century skills we are talking about, 21st century skills we are talking about are going to be effectively developed when learners are learning in groups, because they are going to be thinking, looking for solution to a problem put before them. They are going to be sharing the ideas through text, media work, voice. Somebody is taking the records. Somebody is the leader of the group. In another time, you change the leadership of the group and change the composition of the group. So every member of the group is having a feel of each of the roles that can be played, and the skills would be developed among all of them. Then the learners can contribute to the material being learned when they are learning together. They should not come to the classroom for your facilitators to stand in front of them to tell them all they need to know. They should allow the learners to look for information, own the information, share the information with one another, and that way the information sticks on their mind. But if you keep telling them, if the facilitators will tell them everything, it is going to get out of their mind in no time. When they find out for themselves, it sticks better than being told what has to be done. And so they will be contributing to the knowledge they are going to be acquiring in the classroom rather than being told everything. So allow the learners to learn in groups and learn from one another and with one another. Those who are intimidated in the larger classroom, in the smaller group, they will talk. If Mr. Kwe is the one whose presence intimidates me, and I don't find myself in his group, I will talk in my group. All the questions I want to ask, and I'm unable to ask because he is there. In my group that he is not there, I will ask that question, and my fellow learner will tell me what it is. Learners learn from and with one another better than hearing from a facilitator. True or false? And that is why the facilitator must provide guidelines and make what they are hearing from one another very accurate so they are not misinformed. And it is important to do your assessments as learning, to know those who have fair idea of what you are going to deliver. So those ones become scaffolds, leaders of the various groups. So you can leverage on that and let them lead the rest in discovering more for themselves. Ghanaian learners in the old school uniform doing a group collaborative learning during a class lesson in the first picture. In the second picture, school is over. A task is assigned and they are doing it in groups. So whatever you are unable to do on your own, somebody is going to do it for you to see, then you can also have your attempt at it. So each learner would have an attempt at what task that has to be learned, and they would acquire the skills in doing whatever they want to do. Going forward takes us to see what the facilitator-centered classroom environment and the learner-centered classroom environment is. The curriculum we are using says that we must practice learner-centered pedagogy. Put the learner at the center of the learning process and allow the learner to do the learning, whilst you, the facilitator, develops guidelines, directives, and support for the learner. Hello? Hello? GNAPS. The welfare of the child is supreme. Allow the child to be at the center of the learning process, and then the facilitator provides guidelines and directives. In a facilitator-centered environment, like most of us have in our various schools, one boy, one desk. One girl, one desk. At best, we have 2 people sitting at one desk. Don't say that one. This one is the classroom one. Not one something, one something, one. This one in our various schools. So, that is a teacher-centered environment, a facilitator-centered environment. All the learners are seated the way we are sitting here. The facilitator is in front. You face him. He is the authority in the classroom, the only source of knowledge that he is ready to pass on to the learners. So that environment focuses on the facilitator. In the learner-centered environment, the focus of learning is on the learner. All the learning tasks are designed because the learner is going to do the learning. It is why the NNF Essential Resources are all learner-centered. We have had comments that, oh, these books, we don't have enough information in them. The information in the book is for the learner. It is a learner's book. The facilitator's resource is much more detailed to provide more support and guidelines to the learner. So the learner's book is focused on the learner. The facilitator's guide is the tool the facilitator needs to be able to prosecute whatever lesson there is in the learner's book. So we do not want to say the learner's book is fully packed and the learner is not even able to read and understand. It is a learner's book, learner-centered. The learner's book in the learner-centered environment focuses on the learner. Knowledge is transmitted from the facilitator to the learner in a facilitator-led environment. Like we are sitting now, I am the facilitator, then I am saying everything you need to hear. But in the learner-centered environment, the learners are allowed to find out and contribute to the knowledge on their own. They are not spoon-fed. Once they are discovering the information on their own, it sticks in there. So we should be thinking of transforming our classrooms from a facilitator environment to a learner-centered environment where the learner will be at the center of the learning process and should be finding out the information and be contributing to the lesson that is supposed to be learned, rather than getting the learners told everything. In a facilitator-centered environment, the facilitator mostly talks. He alone comes to stand and delivers the lesson, and the learners are listening. If it's an experimental lesson, he would stand. The equipment to do the experiments are in front of him on a table. The learners will surround him and with their hands at the back, watching. He picks one thing, picks another, does the experiment, lesson over. You dare not touch anything as a learner. But in a learner-centered environment, the facilitator provides the equipment for learning or performing the experiments and directs the learners to perform the experiments and have a first-hand experience, so they will not become engineers who can only draw and label the things they have seen, name the parts, and describe the functions they perform. Out of the lecture, they are graduates, engineers in the field. They come to encounter the same thing they were drawing and labeling and are not able to identify it. They cannot even operate it. These learners should have first-hand experience of these things, so when they get out of work, the competencies are there. They have touched a thing. They have used it in school. So out of school, they are able to transform this economy. We'll stop importing toothpick from China. In a facilitator-centered environment, when the facilitator asks a question, his expectation is that the learners must provide one appropriate response. He is not interested in the learner's view. What is on his mind is what he's expecting from you. But in a learner-centered environment, the learner is allowed to speak his mind. This is my view. This is my view. This is how I see it. So they are contributing to the development of the knowledge. The facilitator would only fine-tune what the learners are saying, bring it to some level of accuracy that can lead the learner on to acquiring additional information. Learners sit passively, like we are sitting, passively doing nothing in a facilitator-centered classroom. All they do is to sit and listen. And it becomes so boring. Before you realize, somebody is gone far away in a dreamland. True or false? Yes. So those of us who are in the dreamland, welcome yourselves back here. You are all welcome. In a learner-centered environment, we do not have that. The learner is actively involved in performing the learning tasks in groups, sharing ideas. In that case, they do not become passive members of the classroom. They do not work individually. They work collaboratively. But in a facilitator-centered environment, the facilitator instructs every learner, do your own thing. Pay attention to your work. And in that case, competition stands in. It becomes very competitive. You see someone working and he's covering part of his work so his friend does not see. Don't copy my work. If the person stretches their neck, hey, look on your work. Facilitator-centered classroom. Ancient of this learning strategy. Be delivered from doing these things in your schools before we leave this auditorium. Are you delivered? Yes, this deliverance must be sustained when you move out of here. Do not encourage competitive learning in your schools. I deliver you. So we'll move on and look at what the differences are in the sitting arrangements in a learner-centered and facilitator-centered environment. It is rigid and fixed with desks arranged. We have spoken about that. And the facilitator stands in front and the learner is sitting facing the facilitator, listening to instructions. The facilitator-centered environment has the focus on the facilitator, as the primary source of knowledge and authority. And then there is little room for the learner to collaborate and interact with one another. Competitive work, individual work, be on your own. Don't share anything with your friend. That is what happens in a facilitator-centered environment. In a learner-centered environment, the learners sit in small groups or clusters, facing each other or any other arrangement, or in circles, depending on the tasks of the learning that is going to take place. It also depends on the size of the classroom and the nature of furniture available in the school. The classroom may have different areas designated for different learning activities. In a learner-centered environment, different learning activities will require different centers. You can have a reading corner, you can have a mini shop so that activities can take place there. And this kind of environment is flexible. and is adaptable to every learning activities that we have in the NNF Essential series, so that nobody is left out of the learning process. What are the differences in the learning tasks in each of these learning environments? In the facilitator-centered environment, the learning task is often designed to be more teacher-led. We focus on direct instruction and individual assignments. The teacher is the only source of information. He issues instructions, and the learners must do their works individually. No collaboration, no interaction. Pay attention to your work. Don't share anything to your friend. That is what happens in that kind of learning task in the facilitator-centered environment. The learners are also expected to absorb information from the teacher alone and complete assignments on their own. Don't talk to your friend. Pay attention to your work. Listen to only your facilitator. That is what happens in a facilitator-centered environment, and there is less emphasis on collaboration and interaction. Nobody speaks to their friend. When the facilitator is in charge, you listen to only him. If you have any question, you ask him. You don't ask your friend. He is not in charge. The only boss in the classroom is the facilitator. People are intimidated because some people cannot look into the facilitator's eyes and ask questions. So they go home with unclear lessons on their mind. Sometimes more confused than they were when you began the lesson. In the other way, the learner-centered environment is designed to be more learner-led, interactive, and collaborative, because they are supposed to come together and do cooperative learning. They share ideas with one another, and then they can ask questions from one another and perform the learning tasks together. The learners are also encouraged to work together on projects and assignments, share ideas, and learn from and with one another. And the teacher or the facilitator serves as a guide, providing feedback to the learners and offering support when the need arises. So every learner is able to make progress during the learning task. Let us look at the seating arrangements in these two. Is this what you have in your school? And I say yes. This is the rows kind of arrangements in our schools. The teachers in the schools can make eye contact with all the learners and keep them engaged, because they all sit facing the front of the classroom where the teacher stands to deliver his lessons. In this kind of learning environment, the learners cannot make eye contact with each other. You are looking at the back of your friend's head. You are not able to see their face to even see whether the friend is confused or is as confused as you are. Sometimes the teacher is able to read the demeanor of the learners and know that the thing is not going. Are you also seeing your friend's face to know that you are not the only one who is confused? Or maybe you think everybody else is getting it, you are the only one confused, so you don't want to ask questions. But if the learners are seeing each other's face, they are able to read the demeanor and say, hey, I'm not the only one. Oh. Then let me ask her. Then the questions would come. The explanations will come. The progress will continue. The other environment is the cluster or the group one, where depending on the number of learners in the classroom, you can put them into various groups. And then the learners can easily make eye contact with each other, sharing ideas, developing the 4C skills, progressing. They can collaborate and communicate with one another easier in this kind of arrangement in groups of 4. So every learner in a particular group can interact with the members of the group. The difficulty in this one is that the facilitator cannot address the whole class, because what is happening in a particular group is likely not the same thing happening in another group. So he has to deal with each group's issues one after the other. And that is why it is important to do your assessment for learning. When you assign learning tasks to the learners, visit each group and find out what challenges there are and attempt to deal with them. So all the groups are making progress. The next kind of arrangement is a U-shaped one. If you do not have a very small class size, you cannot do this kind of arrangement. Otherwise, you would have 2 rows going, and then you have to walk in between one row and another. But this one works very well for a whole class discussion, because the facilitator is able to meet eyeball to eyeball with every learner, and the learners are also able to meet eyeball to eyeball with one another. And the cooperative learning is very effective in this kind of arrangement. Then we have the pair pods. Those of us who have dual desks in our classrooms, we are champions. Online virtual participants, this is the time I earlier on told you that look back into your classrooms, see what kind of arrangement there is, and now find out whether these 3 plus this one we are looking at, which one do you have? Do you have dual desks? Are you using the cluster? Are you in rows, or the pair pods, or the U shape? The pair pods are good for pair work or partner work. 2 to share. You think of an idea, I think of an idea, and then we share. Then learners working in pairs have eye contact and can easily engage with each other. Just you and me. So whatever I think of, I can share with you, you share yours with me. But the difficulty is that the facilitator has a lot of people to visit. If there are 30 children in the classroom, then you have 15 pairs to visit. In the other one, the cluster one, 30, and you are putting them into groups of 4, you have 7 groups to visit. That is the challenge with the pair pods sitting arrangement. In all of these things, when you are putting learners together to learn in groups, obviously, even if they are all twins from the same mother, sitting in groups to learn, you imagine what is going to happen. It is inevitable. There will be some disagreement. There will be some chaos. There will be some trouble. Misbehavior. Disruption of the lesson will take place. What causes it? When you have not, the facilitator has not provided clear directives and guidelines for the learning task to take place, the learners will fill in that ambiguity and begin to do things in their own way, contrary to your expectation. So the facilitators must provide clear guidelines for them to be able to proceed the learning task to your expectation. There should also be no way that the participation of members of the group will be unequal. If members of the group are not performing the task equally, somebody feels, I am doing all the things alone, and one person is sitting down there just watching, there is going to be resentment, frustration. Why am I the only person doing all the things? Misbehavior will set in, particularly for those who are not willing to take part in the learning task. When others are doing it, they are doing their own thing. Then those who are doing it will say, if the thing is for all of us and you are not taking part, then me too, I'm not going to do it. The learning task is going to be disrupted. Misbehavior will set in. Instead of making progress, you go there to address such issues. So facilitators must make sure that the learning task is equally shared and everybody knows what role to play during that process. The next one is that when there are skill gaps, knowledge gaps, wide ones between the learners, then there will be a problem. People are far ahead of their friends. So those who are below, hey, where that guy has gotten to me, I'm not yet there. It is for those people. That person is going to be disengaged from the activity. I can't do it. Then those who are doing it will feel that this is too easy. And when I am done, I'm not doing it again. I'm frustrated. These people, they are not cooperating. Then there will be total chaos during the learning task. The facilitator must make sure that putting the people together based on their abilities and learning styles will eliminate this kind of frustration and then will not lead to misbehavior. Personal issues are sometimes brought into the classroom by the learners. sometimes from the house. Some people are bullies. You put them into groups, they are not ready to perform the learning task. All they want to do is to bully other members of the group. So when you take your eyes off, say, ensure that your facilitators keep eyes on the learners when they assign tasks. Make sure in grouping the learners, they know who the learners are and what their temperaments are. So you don't put matches and petrol together in one group. Fire service will have to come in. The next is lack of engagement. If the learners feel that they are not adequately engaged in the learning task, then they have a problem. They have to be adequately engaged. Everyone should be participating in the learning task. If somebody is disengaged, not doing anything, he's going to be doing what you don't expect, and there will be chaos in the classroom. Then the teacher's role. The teacher has a role to play in making sure that the learning tasks are not disrupted in the classroom. What are the goals that There are 4 goals. Let me just say straight away. There are 4 goals that if they are not met in the learners, they will definitely disrupt the learning task and misbehave in the classroom. If you don't give the learners attention, they expect attention. They want to be recognized as also being present in the classroom. And if you are not giving them that attention, they will misbehave. They will do something for you to know they are there, to draw your attention. So give them attention. The little thing they do, recognize it and applaud it. Then they know you know they are there. If that is not happening, they will do what will let you know they are there. So learners in your various schools, encourage your facilitators to engage them and give them attention. Some people would want to show power. They want to test your power. They want to see whether, if they do anything, how far can you accommodate them. Mind you, if the facilitators are weak, one learner can take control of the whole class. His decision in the classroom will become final. Do not encourage that one. Some people also would misbehave just for revenge. Somebody has done something he's not happy with, and he does not want to forgive. So he's waiting for an opportunity to pay back that thing you did. Now, madam is not in the classroom. You see, if it is not done in the classroom, when they close and they are going home, it will happen on the way. Small bukum. The 4th reason why learners feel that their needs are not met and so they will misbehave is inadequacy. Fear of failure. The learner thinks that this thing I am doing, I'm not able to do it well. I might be ridiculed or embarrassed. Because of that, I won't do it at all. So that my friends will not know I don't know it. That inadequacy is one of the things that show learners have needs unmet. If the facilitator is able to identify these things, then they can be addressed and this kind of misbehavior will be dealt with. These things we are discussing are highlights. Details of how these things can be carried on in the classroom would have to be done with activities with your facilitators in your various schools. What happens if there is misbehavior or disruption of learning in our various schools? What happens? There will be inadequate engagement. Inadequate engagement. If you do not engage your learners in the classrooms, if facilitators don't engage learners, and they stand like I am doing, and all you are sitting down listening to me, it is not everybody who will be listening to me. Somebody will be doing something else. Of course, when you shift responsibility to the learners and you do not ensure that they take the responsibility, they will do their own thing. So we are going to engage one another at this level to the end to see what impact misbehavior can have on learners and the learning task. Can I see where the second microphone is, please? Thank you. Come forward a bit. The impact of misbehavior on learning and on learners. It's okay. Maybe you'll be going backward and forward. If the learners are not adequately engaged, they will misbehave. Negative emotional climate. If a child comes to school and is not in a good state, the sound mind is not following him to school, the attention is not in the classroom, and you decide to engage this learner in a learning task, what do you think will happen? A child who lives with their step-parents broke a mug at home and has come to school. Something happened at home already, small cane, and he has come to school. Going back home, he knows something will happen again in the afternoon. He's sitting here physically present. Mentally, he's trying to imagine what will happen again when he gets home. And so, when such things are happening in schools, the climate for that child is not positive to absorb whatever is going on. There will be reduced achievements during the learning process because the children are misbehaving. The time that the facilitator must use in delivering the lesson, he is spending that time in dealing with misbehavior. People who misbehave sometimes misbehave towards their friends, their peers. And when that is not properly dealt with, those who felt hurt harbor ill feelings within themselves. And it does not augur well for good relationship among the learners in the classroom. When they are not in any good relationship and you put them into groups to learn, they will not share ideas. So learning will be affected. Then the teacher's time and attention would also be spent unnecessarily on things that are not required. How do we avert or mitigate learner misbehavior in our classrooms? This is where we are going to be making the contributions. If learners are misbehaving in our classrooms, what must we do? Either to make sure it does not happen, or if it does, how do we control to reduce it? Microphone, yes.
To change the position of the learner.
I didn't hear that.
I said to change the position of the learner.
Sitting arrangements. If the person is sitting at a particular place and disturbing or misbehaving, you vary the position of the learner. Any other contribution?
Sometimes, depending on the temperament of the child, you could sit and reason with them and let them know the consequences of their action, and they will understand and change.
So with the learners, you establish clear rules for the class. So with the learners,
from the very first day, engage the learners in certain rules and regulations, the do's and the don'ts in the classroom. Let them all understand and accept it, that this is what we can do, this is not, we cannot do. And when you do the don'ts, this is what will happen to you. If these things are clearly spelled out, engage them to get these things done, and when you all accept it, they know what will happen when they do what they are not supposed to do. So if you are initiating a disciplinary action or a corrective measure for something that must not be done in the classroom, all the learners know we all agreed we cannot do this, and when we do, this is what will happen. Is that okay? Positive reinforcement is the next one. When the learners do something that is good, recognize it, appreciate it, let all of them know that this is the kind of things you want them to be doing. The rest would also endeavor to be doing that, and that will reduce misbehavior in the classroom. Then, classroom management strategies. Those who misbehave so much, keep close eyes on them. Always be in constant touch with them. Proximity. Don't stay far away from them, because by the time you get there, he would have done the thing already. Such people need close marking. They are the Lionel Messis in the team. The least thing they will score you, give them close marking. Before he gets the ball, you disrupt him. Before he conceives the idea, you are there. I hope that is clear. Then, the learner-centered discipline and consistent consequences. The learner does the thing. Let the learner understand this is why you must not do it, because when you do, this is what is going to happen. Let the learner appreciate the reason for not doing that thing. Rather than just telling him, I say don't do it. We don't do this here. Why don't we do it? It's a mystery. What we must not do must not be mysterious things to the learners. Let them know why they are not supposed to do it. They are human beings and they are critical thinkers, so let them understand. Then, positive teacher-learner relationships would also encourage learners not to misbehave in classrooms. And then, the positive classroom climate. Hey, I can see a lot of photographers around. All cameras up with the flashlights. These things happen when the last thing on the slide comes. Then the cameras rise. I'm now a monitor. When I get to the last part one, then I'll skip to the next slide. I won't do that. Now let us look at the last thing, the benefits of the classroom management towards achieving learning goals. This is the last one that we are looking at. When we manage our classrooms effectively, there will be increased engagement because everybody is conforming to what we expect of them. Hello? If everybody conforms, we will have increased engagement. We spend the time for learning effectively. Then there will be reduced disruptions. These are straightforward things. Things that take attention away from the learning processes will not be so much. So we will spend much more time during the lesson. There will be improved learning outcomes, increased learner achievements. So you have a lot more learners excelling and showing progress in what they are doing, improved facilitator-learner relationship, and then finally, cameras are going up. Positive classroom climate. There are plenty of paparazzis here. Are you done, paparazzis? Can I move on? I hear you. In summary, a learner-centered classroom is effectively managed through group and collaborative learning. For these reasons, it has a positive effect on learning compared to individual or competitive learning. If learners are learning together, they have positive effect on learning. Whereas when they are learning individually and doing all other things individually, few people excel. The majority of the members of the class are pulled behind. Very few people excel. Discourage it. We have been delivered before now. The delivery is sustained. It has the potential to meet more learning style needs than individualized direct instruction. Because the learners are different, they have different learning styles, different learning needs, and you put them together, everybody in a group is going to share what is on the mind of the other. So they will have various ways of doing things. Fortunately, the Essential Resources has provided variety of activities for everybody to learn with, and that is what we'll be doing. It entails interpersonal and collaboration skills that can be learned during group activities for personal success in future. It has the potential to produce a level of engagement that other forms of learning cannot. And finally, it is a powerful tool for building communal bonds. When they are together, the communal bond is there. They would learn to become team players, team members, effective to work together even after school. Do these ones when we leave here. To manage a learner-centered classroom effectively through group and collaborative learning, we must decide that it is worth making a commitment doing it well. Make that decision now. that you want to do the learner-centered learning and be ready to learn the skills to manage it effectively, invite us to come to your schools. When we are coming, we would come with all that there is for the facilitators to go through the activities, believing that by the time we are coming, you would have sent us your orders, the books would have been delivered, the facilitators are using them, and we are making progress together. I am speaking on that side joyfully because that is where we would continue to do these things together. I believe we will remember that when we learn together in groups, we are developing our 21st century skills. Let me see your thumbs up if you believe that when the learners are learning in groups, they are developing their 21st century skills. Online participants, type your yes or no if you accept these ones. The cameras are up instead of the thumbs. Plenty paparazzis here. We believe that when we take your facilitators through this thing in your various schools, they will be able to tell us the differences between the learner-centered classroom environment and then the facilitator-centered classroom environment. They will be able to identify causes of learning misbehavior and what disrupts learning in the group and collaborative learning. These are things that will be done practically in your various schools, and then they can evaluate the impact of learner misbehavior on learning and learners. They should also be able to get solutions to mitigate the impact of learning misbehavior and disruptions in the classrooms so that they can benefit from effective classroom management to achieve their learning goals. These are the things we will be doing in your schools. These are highlights to you, school owners and leaders. Facilitators will go through the details when we come to your school to take you through all of this. Thank you very much for granting me audience.
Thank you very much, Paul. Please put your hands together.